Hello humans and mermaids and mermans and merpeople. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. If you are new here, please don't forget to subscribe and click the little bell notification button so that you get a notification every single time I upload a new video. I make new videos here on my channel every single Friday-ish, and today I'm joined by a very special guest, Nerdmaid Faith. Hey! And we are going to be talking to you about different posing tips for mermaiding. So we're going to be talking about underwater posing, above land posing, and also some safety tips so that we all stay having fun and safe and stuff. And we're in my hot tub right now because we're just taking a break between filming. So if you want to take some underwater photos, then Faith and I both would recommend using a GoPro. So there's actually a photo mode on GoPros which you can use to, like, it'll continuously take photos. Faith uses that.
That's my favorite. I use timer. I set it to either half second or 1 second shots, and I'll usually get in a swim if I'm like purposely taking photos. I'll usually get anywhere from like 40 to 400 photos, and then I can narrow it down to the best like 5.
Or what I usually do is I'll just let it record, because typically when I'm posing for my underwater photos, I'll also be filming a swimming video for you guys as well. So I will just film like I normally do, and then once I have it all uploaded to my computer, I just screenshot the best pictures. And I find that that's like a pretty good way for me, and it's pretty useful. So those are kind of two different options that you can use with your GoPro to get underwater photos.
And the GoPro app has a function for taking like a direct frame grab. You can literally scrub through frame by frame and pick your best frame.
So when it comes to actually posing underwater, there's so many different things that you're going to want to think about, and also so many different options of ways you can pose your body, your tail, your face, your hair under the water. So there's some classic poses like the Mako Mermaid / H2O pose, when you've got the fluke behind you. So when you're in deeper water, it's very helpful to dive directly down, and then your tail will follow up behind. And then you just want to relax, maybe bring your hands up to your chin like they do in the show. And you can do that in deeper water, kind of floating, or you can do it in even shallower water and actually just rest on the bottom of the pool, which is maybe a little bit easier.
Oh yeah.
And then when you're in deep water, you can also just have your camera positioned in front of you so that you can kind of see the top of the water all the way to the bottom, and you can just like glide down and sort of do a straight on shot of your body, and then kind of have your arms posed in different ways, kind of just simple, easy pose. Pretty good for beginners. And
Just
that
want
way,
to keep your princess hands.
yes.
Yeah, no fists. We don't want angry mermaids.
Or like too stiff either. Yeah. And that's a pretty, I think,
Claw hands.
user-friendly one, because then your head is close to the surface the whole time, and you're not gonna like panic about being all deep and weirdly positioned or anything like that. So yeah, with princess hands, it's good to just let your hands be by your side and just kind of float them up and see the kind of position that they're in. So don't think about it too much, because then you're gonna end up being kind of
weird claw hands.
Yeah, so kind of just natural. I like to try to get my long hair to stand up sometimes, like the classic like aerial shot.
Yeah.
But long hair and even shorter hair can be a bit of a pain, so you're gonna want to make sure your hair is in a good spot before you kind of start trying to make a pretty face, because there's no point in smiling and looking pretty if your hair is like the Grudge in front of your face.
I usually keep my bangs pulled back in a ponytail back here. That way they don't get in my face. Like even today I was swimming and I decided not to do it, and it's like, you don't want to panic and suffocate on your hair, just tie it back a little bit.
Yeah.
Add a little fancy flower clip and you're good to go.
There's one pose, I like this better in kind of like medium depth water, I guess, where you can lay down on your side and have the fluke out like this. I'll show you on the screen so you can see what I'm talking about. So you're kind of, it's a relaxed, you're kind of like laying on the bottom of the pool, and again you can look forward at the camera, or maybe you're looking up and like have your hand up to the water, all magical. Like that's kind of a go-to pose that I like to do.
If you want to suffer, you can lie on your back and look straight up at the sky.
Oh yeah, that will not feel so good for the nose though. Faith is kind of an expert at doing like fluke grabs.
Oh yes.
Where you bend your body and grab your fluke either to the side or what?
Yeah, I usually kind of pose on my side and grab my fluke like this. Even if you're just like lying down, and then you can lift your fluke up and grab it. You can bend your knees and grab it. It really depends like the best thing you can do when you're posing is to keep your toes pointed, because if you have your ankles flexed, then you're gonna get a weird sort of like 90-degree angle with your fluke. But if you keep your toes pointed, it's going to look a lot more flowy and natural.
Don't be too discouraged if you have a smaller fluke and you find it a little difficult, especially when you're kind of doing like a backflip or whatever. It's definitely harder with a smaller fluke, but it also depends on how flexible you are.
Yeah.
I am not very flexible personally.
Yeah, some flexibility required. And a lot of these poses are dependent on what tail you're using too, because some tails are more floaty, some are more sanky, some like can look really graceful in the water and flowy, others look better on land. Keep in mind that you're not going to be able to do every single pose with every single tail you have.
Yes, in every single like environment as well, because you know maybe the water's really cold and you're having a hard time getting your face to look nice, you know, you never know. Yeah, face. You know, it's really important to relax your face as well.
Yeah.
And it's a fine line with the smile, because obviously it looks really nice to smile, but sometimes when you're underwater, it turns out like this kind of like, oh my god, take the picture smile, which you want to avoid. So, you know, you want to have your face be as close to what it would be like above the water while it's in the water.
Yeah, we don't want the pufferfish cheeks. Like, when everyone starts Mermaid, they're like, like this. Like, do not be discouraged, because your body is not really meant to be underwater, and your face doesn't like being underwater. And people ask, how do you open your eyes underwater? I've grown up swimming in chlorinated pools and in fresh water, and so really just a secret for keeping your eyes open is just practice, practice, practice. Practice in the shower, just like practice getting some water on your face. You can do it for short amounts of time, you can do it for a long amount of time. What I do is I get a lot of my pretty close-up stuff out of the way. So like photos of my face and like close-up photos of my tail with my eyes open. I get that out of the way first, and then for the rest of the swim, I'm like, blind mermaid.
Yes, and it also will really depend on the amount of chlorine in a pool. It's totally just about practice and not being afraid, because I think so many people just are like, I've never done it before, therefore I can't do it. Like in my experience, 19 times out of 20, you should be able to open your eyes without too much pain, and the pain will generally come after you're done swimming or towards the
eye
end.
drops are so important. I use clarifying eye drops, and I'll usually put them in my eyes before I go swimming and after I go swimming, and I find that makes a big difference, especially when you're driving home. You've got the rainbow halos. But guys, beauty is pain, art is pain. Just suck it up and deal with it.
You can even take some photos with your eyes closed too, like that can look really pretty, kind of looking down. Sleepy mermaid, yes. Yeah, you want to like really play around with your face. Like you don't have to just be looking at the camera, you can be looking off to the side, you can look up, down.
If there's like a light in the pool that you can look at, that's really helpful, because then you can kind of fix your eyes on some point and it makes you look like you're looking at something rather than just kind of your
wandering eyes.
Yeah,
and then also that lighting can help to make like a really pretty shot sometimes, especially in an indoor pool for sure, because otherwise it's kind of not the best lit necessarily.
Swim into your poses. A lot of times people will be like, okay, I'm going to do a pose where I'm like stretched out and my head is looking at the camera and my hair is like blowing back, and they just will like belly flop, sink down, and expect to get it. It's easier if you get sort of a running start, where you start swimming, swim, kick, line up with the camera, do your pose, glide, don't move too much, and then try again.
And it'll help with your tail as well to not be like so bent and weird, because it'll have like more of a form.
Yeah.
With posing either above water or underwater, props are really cool to use as well. So like a great underwater prop is a big seashell, like one that I use sometimes, or a mirror. Obviously you have to be aware that not everything is going to want to go in the water, but that's a really good way to kind of spice up your photos,
I've
to have
seen
something to
people
do.
use like dead laptops and dead phones under the
Oh
water.
yeah, that's funny. Yeah, so you can totally be really creative with it as well. Like you don't need to be able to hold your breath for 2 minutes to get some good photos underwater, because all you need is that one frame, that 1 second to get a good photo. Relaxing into the pose, and maybe look this way, maybe look that way, move your hand a little bit and go back up. You don't have to stay underwater as long as you possibly can, because chances are the longer you stay underwater, your face is not going to be relaxed because you're in physical pain now, right? So don't beat yourself up about being able to hold your breath forever and ever. And the more calm you are and the slower your heart rate is, the longer you'll actually be able to stay underwater. So yes, don't panic. It's you know, like it's just for you, and it'll only take 2 seconds to get that amazing photo that you're after. So
that's why we're chilling in the hot tub right now, because now I'm super zen, super relaxed. Gonna have some water, maybe a banana to stop with foot cramps, and we're gonna go take some photos.
Exactly. And then with above water posing, really quick, I think it's important to scout out your location first, because the last thing you want to do is put your really difficult tail on over here and then realize that you want to take your picture over there. So definitely make sure you know where you want to take your photo first. That might sound super basic, but it's not
scouting.
It's not something you have to think about when you're just on your feet, because you can just walk wherever. But in a tail, you're very restricted to right where you are.
Yeah.
If you can pose underwater, you can pose above water. Easy peasy.
I don't know, I find above water posing so much harder.
Do you?
Yeah.
Interesting.
My friend's like, Teresa, she's like, pointy elbows. I'm like, I can't.
I think like props are really helpful for above water, even if it's just your hair, like just to be doing something. A lot of people are like, I don't know what to do with my hands and my arms. So giving yourself that out, that's something that you're doing. Or again, like eye lines, having something specific that you're looking at.
The sunset.
It can, yeah, like the sunset, or you know, your friend over there, like just having a focus point can help as well. Keep your toes pointy. Also look at other mermaids or other people's photos for inspiration, so that you get some ideas of what you're actually trying to achieve. That's what I do a lot for my human account and my mermaid account. I always follow people that I like, and I'm like, hey, that photo's amazing. I'm gonna try to recreate this in my own way. So that way you have an idea of what you're actually trying to achieve, and you can even show your photographer or your friend like, hey, this is what I'm going for, and then they can help to pose you in the way that is gonna be the best shot as well. If you're taking photos on an iPhone, turn the sound on, like the ringer on. That way you can hear each and every click of the photo, and that way you know when to change poses. Every time you hear the click, you want to try and do something different, whether it's moving your eyes, moving your hand, moving which way you're looking, and be mindful of where you're posing. If you are on some rough surfaces, that's not the best for your mermaid tails, because they are very delicate depending on what material they're made of. Some are more hardy than others, but if you've got like a thin fabric tail, just be aware that if you're on rocks, you might get some scuffs. So maybe you can put a little towel, like hide it from the shot, but try to have some safety for your mermaid tails, so that you don't end up wrecking them or getting them dirty. You can always Photoshop it out too. That's very true. And
staying safe. Like if you're on a rock near like the ocean and the tides coming in, that current can rip you out pretty quick. So make sure you're a safe distance from the water that you're going to be near, especially if you're precariously balanced on something. I did a photo shoot near a waterfall a while back, and I mean, it probably would have looked nicer if my fluke was like right near the waterfall, but was I gonna do that? Absolutely not.
Yeah, it's very important too to never do anything you're uncomfortable with. Sometimes if you're working with a photographer and maybe someone who doesn't specialize in mermaid photography, they have this idea like, oh, well, it would look really cool if you're out on this rock doing this. But if you are not comfortable doing that, don't do anything you're uncomfortable with ever. It's just not worth your safety for a good photo at all. And there's plenty of safe ways to get good photos as well. Always have somebody with you.
Absolutely.
Even if you're like, I'm alone taking photos on my GoPro in the pool, it's good to have somebody, you know, not in the pool, to just make sure I'm not gonna try and do something crazy and then drown. So always have a person with you when you're taking photos, even if you are your own photographer. So definitely get familiar with your equipment before you attempt anything, you know, under the water. It's just, you need to know what you're prepared for. So definitely practice, stay safe.
You know, before I do like something like big and fancy in a mermaid tail, I always do a trial run with it, see if like, is this actually feasible? And then I'll usually do like my big fancy stuff. But yeah, just like a casual training swim to see, can I do this? Is this possible? Then I can do it with the whole kit and caboodle and the fancy photographers and all that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I hope you really enjoyed this video, and I hope it gave you some ideas of different ways that you can pose in your mermaid tails. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and also check out Nerdmaid Faith's channel. It will be linked down in the description below. We're filming quite a few videos over on her channel as well, so definitely check those out. Make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already, and if you haven't already, what are you doing? Gosh. And click the little notification bell so that you get that notification every single time I upload a video. That's all from us today, and we will see you next week. Bye! Before you fishies swim off, I need to announce today's Instagram shoutout, which goes to darling.stardust. Thank you so much for always liking and commenting on all of my photos. I see you on every single one, and I appreciate you so much, girl. And if you, yes you, would like to be next week's Instagram shoutout, then all you have to do is go over to my Instagram at emma.forth, follow me there, and always be liking and commenting on all of my photos. And bonus points if you want to go and follow at Mermaid Zelda as well for lots of mermaidy content. I love you all so much, and I hope I'll see you here next Friday-ish for a brand new video. Until next time, bye!